It's almost impossible to end a show in a way that pleases everyone. We all know this. But when an amazing show's finale has even the die-hard fans saying, what? What the fuck? Why did they do that? You know you probably fucked up big time.
If you could describe the season finale of Game of Thrones in one word, how would you describe it?
Disappointing.
Disappointing?
No, epic. I don't know.
Epic.
One of those ones.
So I'm watching Game of Thrones for the second time now, and I'm realizing that this is the exact situation that they got themselves into. The show's been over for over a year now, so if you haven't watched it yet and plan on watching it, maybe you shouldn't, watch this video because spoilers. The first 5 seasons of the show, the writers were able to follow the Game of Thrones book written by George R.R. Martin. They had the source material that was already semi-popular and well-written to go off of when adapting it for television. Some of the most iconic moments in the show were taken straight out of the book. Some things did change, mostly just timelines to speed things along, but for the most part, they stuck to what they had. After season 5 ended though, they ran out of books to go off of. George was still writing. He still is writing. Some say he will never finish writing the Game of Thrones series. But they still had to make the show, so they just made it. Even though George was guiding them through making the show and trying to point them in the general direction, this unfortunately was right around the same time that the audience started complaining about the decisions the characters were making and the writing. While it helped to have George there, and while the writers who made the show were extremely talented, there was just something about it that made it fall flat. Part of this reason could be that the writers, D&D, were rushing to finish the show. HBO wanted to keep the show going on as long as possible because of how big it was and how much money they were making. But the writers expressed that they wanted to end it around 7 seasons, but George actually argued that it should have at least 13 seasons. It might have had a little something to do with those guys getting offered to work with Star Wars and that they eventually wanted to leave, but who knows? We sure don't. So in the end, HBO settled on 8 seasons, with the final season being abbreviated between 7 episodes in season 7 and 6 episodes in season 8, which annoyed fans because we were used to about 10 episodes a season. It felt wrong to everyone that they were trying to squeeze years of build-up and excitement into a short set of episodes. They didn't let any room to let the story breathe and find its way. Season 8 began, and it just felt like they were trying to win a race to see who could finish the show the quickest. There was no character development or storytelling. It just felt rushed. It was really disappointing to see. Characters were dropped into the show and taken out without really a chance to experience them. And the battle with the Night King, the point in the series that everyone was waiting for, that everybody wanted, was crammed into one fucking episode. Once it was over, I remember thinking, that's what we were waiting for? That's what I wasted 60 hours of my goddamn life to get to? There was so much more about the Night King's origin that I wanted to explore. I wanted them to fight more, that's for sure. But yeah, I guess it was cool that Arya got to kill him, I guess. I really just wanted more. One character arc that I absolutely hated was that of Jaime Lannister. This dude starts off by pushing a kid out of a window because he was caught having sex with his twin sister. You can't get much lower than that. But over the series, he becomes a fan favorite due to his charming personality through his friendship with Brienne of Tarth. And for what? For him to fight against the army of the dead, sleep with Brienne, and then just run back to King's Landing to die with his sister? His story could have been so much better, but I guess they wanted to stick to the whole, we came into this world together, now we're gonna leave this world together. Speaking of which, Cersei's final season was garbage. Most of her appearances involved her staring off a balcony and drinking wine. What? You're supposed to be this badass evil queen, and you just die in the most unclimactic way ever? I didn't like her character all that much to begin with, but they could have done so much more with her if they didn't rush it. Other than that disaster, a big issue I had with the final season was how many character resolutions just left you wanting more, how things seemed to just come too easily, and how nothing felt right about the ending. The fact that Bran became king for doing what exactly? What did Bran do that qualified him to become king? They said it's because he had the most interesting story, but I would strongly argue that either one of his sisters had a better story. Arya is a fucking assassin that saved the world, and Sansa went through unbelievable trauma, fought through it, and became Queen of the North. The biggest gripe I think everyone had with the final, though, was how Daenerys just went crazy. There wasn't much of a build-up to hint at the audience that was going to happen. Sure, there was the quote about when a Targaryen is born, a coin is flipped on their sanity, but before this point, every decision she had made kind of seemed thought out, fair, and logical. Yeah, sure, she burned a few people alive, but they were just slave-owning masters and people trying to kill her. They kind of deserved it. And when she didn't really know what to do, she listened to her advisors. Nobody could have guessed or understood why she decided to burn it all down to the ground. I'll never understand that choice. She seemed like a character that was always committed to justice, but I think after Miss Sunday's death, that coin was flipped and she followed in her father's footsteps and became the Mad Queen. I personally believe that it would have been a much more satisfying resolution if the writers had just let Daenerys get past that issue, rise above it, and become Queen of Westeros. Then there's Jon. While I love the fact that they hid that Jon was actually a Targaryen and not a Stark Snow, I think the fact that they just threw that shit away and made Bran king even though he had no claim to it was so dumb. Like, Jon could have been the one true king, but no! I did like the twist, but I didn't like how it ended and they just didn't do anything with it. They didn't let Westeros know, they didn't tell really anyone, and Jon just went back to being in the Night's Watch, which hurt because it seems like he played a much bigger role than to live out the rest of his life on the wall. This man died, came back, figured out the truth about himself just to go back to doing the same shit. Another thing that bothered me was that the prophecies in the show were just kind of there. You see some of them come true, which makes you think, okay, I need to pay attention to these prophecy things. They're going to be really important. But most of the shit they say doesn't even come true, which is similar, I guess, to the real world. Stuff comes true, some stuff doesn't, but this isn't the real world. This is Game of Thrones. There's magic, giants, and dragons. The least they could have done was put some foreshadowing in these prophecies that would actually come true. Like, if they didn't come true, why did they even add them in the first place? There were just so many stupid decisions in this show that made me wonder if they even cared how it turned out, or if they were just flipping coins in the writing room. If the writing wasn't so lazy, I don't think it would have turned out this way. There were so many conclusions that just felt unnatural to what would have actually happened if the characters that we learned to love were using their heads a little bit. In the 2 years that it took to develop Season 8, you would think that D&D would have come up with a finale that just made sense, but instead we got something that felt unearned and rushed. Tyrion says that they were breaking the wheel, but with all the different replacements of power that we see throughout the series, it doesn't really feel like that. It just feels like we're getting a slightly newer wheel. They tried to give us a happy ending, but it just turned one of the most popular and beloved shows into one where when you bring it up, people are like, oh yeah, but have you watched the last season? I realized that everyone knew that one day Game of Thrones would come to an end, but I don't think anyone expected them to rush to get there. For it to feel like they just didn't care. I loved this show so much. I cared about the characters, I enjoyed talking about it to friends, and listening to YouTube theories about what was going to happen next. And for the final season to be what we got, it just felt more like a slap in the face. I wish we could remake it somehow just to try and get the bad taste out of my mouth. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and again, thank you for following me all the way over here on a Vibe on this new platform. If you liked this video, feel free to drop a like, let me know in the comments which shows you would like me to talk about, because I have a few ideas, but it'd be cool to know what you guys watch so I have a better idea of what direction to go in. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys soon.
Arya Stark hasn't been seen since her father was killed. What do you think happened to her? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
Prince Owen, forgive the intruder.
Hate's a good as reason to hate it. Oh.
That I have line?
Line?
Line.
It's a funny line, sorry.
What's the punishment for regicide? Drawing and quartering? Beheading.
What did you discuss?
Sorry.
He needs to learn how to swing a sword, how to...
Oh, they...
Have you been drinking again?
Let's cut it, please.
Yeah. Hey, are you drunk?
Look at the sword.
Do I say something? Is it me? What do I say?
What? Oh, we've got to there already. Have we? Oh, sorry.
In 3, 2, 1.
You don't partake?
Oh, I partook. Now I'm married. Prince Oberyn, if I may, a word in private.
When would the wedding... When would the wedding take place, in your mind?
Can't remember.
No! Draw! No!
But now that I am imagining...
Maybe you ought to put on a dress.
To thank the gods for bringing to an end the recent...
You made a sacred vow.
I was trying to get back. Oh, no.
Can you little birds get a message to the good masters of Astapor, the wise masters of Yonkai, and the benevolent... Tell me, can you little birds get a message to the good masters of Astapor, and the benevolent enslavers of...
Anakabak! Anakagab! Bora mais Dothraki!
Can you little birds get a message to the good masters of Astapor, the wise masters of Yonkai, and the benevolent enslavers of... I had it too. And the benevolent... Sorry, ready? Tell me. Benevolent. Ah, it sucks. The benevolent enslavers. And the good friends in Volantis. No, it's not. Missandei. Missandei, right? Missandei. Melisandre. Missandei. David Benioff.
Come on, everybody.
What's up?
Because you're being such...
Step away!
They're adding me and giving me another line.
So I don't trust the benevolent enslavers of the last